Hello everybody, this is AK. I'm back. So one of the things I've talked about quite a bit is why it's a good idea, or at least it's not a bad idea, to pay a fair price for a wonderful business. And of course, this is something that I have stolen from Mr. Warren Buffett, right? That it is better to pay a fair price for a wonderful business than to pay a wonderful price for a fair business, right? And I've used that as one of the guiding principles when I invest. And I've also used it when I talk about the local banks. For example, a few months ago, I said that it was okay to buy some DBS shares, even though at the time it was trading at the all-time highs at that time, right? Because that all-time high was lower than today's all-time high. That's just from a price perspective, but also from a valuation perspective, I thought it was okay, right? It wasn't too expensive, right? And that was before it announced a bonus issue, right? I think some of you who have been following me for a while would remember that. And of course, we also know that a fellow YouTuber said that I was come gong, right? Yeah. So anyway, it's okay to pay a fair price for a wonderful business, right? Even though I have also said that we must have a war chest ready, in case Mr. Market goes into a depression, so that we can buy more of that wonderful business at a lower price, right? So to pay a price that is not fair, unfair, but in a good way, right? So then some people ask, so should they buy stocks of DBS, OCBC and UOB now, or should they wait for a crash? And I've said consistently that I'm already invested in the market and I'm staying invested in DBS, OCBC and UOB, but I'm not buying any more shares because I'm already substantially invested. So I'm just building my war chest and waiting for Mr. Market go into a depression. And I'll also share the support levels that I've identified in a couple of videos for all three banks, and I'll put a link. I'll put the links to in the description box below to those videos if you have not watched them yet. I've identified support levels, prices at which I might add to my investments, but I'm not adding at the current prices, right? So, but for someone who has yet to get in, what do I have to say, right? And I'll say that OCBC and UOB are not awfully expensive, right? From a premium to book value perspective, whereas DBS has a rather rich premium to book value, right? And of course, that's just one measure of evaluation, where I've said DBS probably deserves that rich valuation because of its very impressive ROE compared to OCBCs and UOBs, right? But still, I find more comfort in buying more OCBC and UOB if I have to choose at the current point in time than DBS. But of course, I've already had but of course, I do have the benefit of being a DBS shareholder already, right? And also the benefit of receiving the bonus shares, which effectively gave me a 10% boost to the dividend payouts. But yes, if I were a fresh investor and I have to make a choice as to whether I should invest in the banks now or just wait for a crash, I'll say put some money to work, but not throw in everything, including the kitchen sink, maybe OCBC and UOB, and keep some powder dry for in case the market goes into depression, right? That would be my strategy. And I found a sound clip, right, where Mr. Warren Buffett talked about whether we should buy a wonderful business as at the current price, or if we should wait for a crash to buy it. And basically, he said that unless we find the current price to be very offensive, in some way, very offensive, and I suppose when he said that, he meant that if we found it offensive, offensively expensive, right, we should buy some, right, and think that the market close or for the next 20-30 years, and we come back and the business will still be around and be even stronger, right? But anyway, I'm just paraphrasing. Maybe we should hear from the man himself, so have a listen.
Yeah, well, I won't comment on the three companies that you've named, but in general terms, unless you find the prices of a great company really offensive, if you feel you've identified it, and by definition, a great company is one that's going to remain great for 30 years. If it's going to be a great company for 3 years, it ain't a great company. I mean, so you really want to go along with the idea of something that if you were going to take a trip for 20 years, you wouldn't feel bad leaving the money in with no orders with your broker and no power of attorney or anything, and you just go on the trip and you come back and it's going to be a terribly strong company. I think it's better just to own them. I mean, we could attempt to buy and sell some of the things that we own that we think are fine businesses, but they're too hard to find. I mean, we found See's Candy in 1972, where we find here and there we get the opportunity to do something, but they're too hard to find. So to sit there and hope that you buy them in the throes of some panic, that you'd sort of take the attitude of a mortician, waiting for a flu epidemic or something. I mean, I'm not sure that I'm not sure will be a great technique. I mean, it may be great if you inherit. Paul Getty inherited the money at the bottom in 32. I mean, he didn't inherit it exactly. He talked his mother out of it, but it's true, actually.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough, right? But he benefited enormously by having access to a lot of cash in the early 30s that he didn't have access to in the late 20s, and so you get some accidents like that. But that's a lot to count on, and if you start with the Dow at X and you think it's too high, when it goes to 90% of X, do you buy? Well, if it does and it goes to 50% of X, it gets you never get the benefit of those extremes anyway, unless you just come into some accidental sum of money at some time. So I think the main thing to do is find wonderful businesses that is.
Yep. So there you have it. If you find a wonderful business, just buy some, but just be don't be overly optimistic. Just be pragmatic and have some powder dry in case Mr. Market does go into a depression. But of course, Mr. Buffett also talked about how unless you come into some inheritance or a large amount of money, and it so happens that is at a time when Mr. Market is suffering a depression, that's just an accident, and you need a lot of luck for something like that to happen, and it's unlikely. It happens to 1 in a million people, that kind of stuff. So it's important to stay invested, be invested in wonderful businesses, and just get your foot in. And if Mr. Market does go into a depression, you should have some money already set aside to take advantage of it, right? So should we wait for a crash or should we invest now, right? I think we can do a bit of both, right? So if AK can do it, so can you. Bye-bye.